is into blockchain, Bitcoin, and all assorted decentralized technologies, whether they're actually decentralized or not, is what we're going to find out today. So today, you guys know the topic is blockchain economics. We do have one more person that's joining us. He's running a little bit late, but it's okay because we're in Miami, and in Miami time, sometimes we run late. Oh, look, perfect. Here he is. Hi, Sergey.
Hi, Erika. Finally, we are fine.
You missed my wonderful intro, but it's okay because, it's good to give some people some time to join. So,
Yes, it's always problem,
yeah. Technology, right? We think that we're so advanced, but technology is still.
But we are dependent on technology all the times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So many hurdles. So, while we're waiting for some people to join right now, because it looks like nobody has yet, if you guys could please take to your Twitters, and if you're watching this video, like it, but take to your Twitters, do some retweets so we can get some views on Periscope. Let's see. Hey, Matt, did you have a tweet up? Perfect. Okay, so great. And great. Okay. All right. Let's see when we get some people in here. Welcome to everyone who's watching this later on in the day. We are going to get some really great insights about blockchain economics. Okay, cool. So we got some viewers and let's get started. So I'm Erika Gemma. I am CEO of the blockchaincenter.com, powered by the Bitcoin Center Miami. We do have a blockchain center in New York that we'll be visiting in about 40 minutes. But these two gentlemen I have with me are marketing gurus in the world of blockchain. We're going to talk blockchain economics and which companies are using this technology. If you have an industry that you think that you can that will be disrupted by this type of ledger system, these two are the two people to talk to. So I'm going to let each of you introduce yourself and let's get the discussion started. Sergey, you can go ahead and go first.
Okay, I will be the pioneer. I will start. Okay, no problem. My name is Sergey, and right now I'm on air contacting you from the city of Odessa. It's south of Ukraine, Black Sea coast, and we have the time difference now. Right now, I'm after midnight, 7 hours difference, but it's okay. By occupancy, by professional occupancy, I'm a project manager, certified project manager, and working with the European structural funds, granting different kinds of businesses, and from my experience, I dealing a lot, not only with the innovation, blockchain, crypto, but also regarding non-government organizations, creative industry, and so on. But all under the source of the project, how to make project and how organize all this structure, how to present it. And I want to tell you, depends on the sector of business, everybody has the same problems. But right now, at this moment, I'm working and collaborating together with the Crynet Marketing Solution Agency.
All right, we're going to get into that a little bit, Sergey. I definitely want to pour into your clients right now. But that's a really great background.
Okay.
Yeah, really great background. Definitely, you've been involved in many different aspects.
I see.
Yeah, just a quick intro, but definitely.
Yeah.
What is it called? Planet?
Crynet.
Crynet. Oh, yes.
Crynet Marketing Solutions. Yeah. It is like the project manager. You have to understand that marketing, it also the project. You have the goals, tasks, KPI, results, targeted audiences. It's all the same.
Yeah, definitely. So Crynet seems to specialize in helping STO and ICO companies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I joined this company more than last year, but they started at the end of 2016. And they started promoting with the blockchain, crypto projects, ICO, the first wave of ICOs. If you check them by ICO holder, they are in very good ratings. But now we are working with the initial exchange offerings, security token offerings, and right now we have, I will name it because in India, we have few crowdfunding platforms, that are making fundraising under the regulation CFI, A+, and so on in USA and globally.
Wow.
We're just helping to promote their projects,
Yeah. Wow. That's really impressive. And I definitely am going to get into some questions about ICOs and STOs. I think that's definitely a hot topic. ICOs brought a lot of people into the market in 2017 and made global headlines for the cryptocurrency.
The most important thing, just not to spoil everything that they made with ICO,
No, we'll definitely
initial exchange offering, IEO is close to the same results like ICO, but security token offerings, like a way of raising money, is very promising. Why?
Yeah, absolutely. We will definitely get to that. I'm going to let
regulation control. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, definitely looking. You seem like you got a lot of knowledge there, Sergey. All right, Jason, please. Who are you?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Sorry.
Thanks, Erica. Thanks, Sergey. Great to join. I'm based out of New York right now. I've been in the blockchain sector for quite a while, dating back to 2013, 2014. Actually got so deep in the rabbit hole, withdrew from law school. Just couldn't get over the ability of this technology to really disrupt and innovate every sector across the board, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I started back in the day in the political sector. We started developing what became known as delegated or liquid democracy, to sort of alter how we vote with this wave of e-voting coming in the near future. Around 2016, when we realized that it was abundantly clear that you couldn't affect change at scale through the political sector, we pivoted a lot towards the social impact, private sector. Our goal, and I'll get into this a little more as part of Ubik Group, but our goal is to really work and build projects that can affect change across the industry. We're doing a lot with the UN right now and the World Food Program to track, rations of food to developing nations using RFID technology, storing this on the blockchain. Doing a lot of work with tokenizing assets at this point in time, whether that's gold or real estate, which is really picking up a lot of momentum with the hyperinflation globally. Doing some work at the government level as well, digitizing different currencies over here in the US, but also Europe and Asia. So just very interesting work across the board with some very large enterprises as well as small ones. We could get into that as well. Additionally, in 2019, I helped launch NYC Blockchain Center. And as you know, Erica, you're probably very familiar with, this was a public-private partnership based in New York. It was NYC EDC, the New York City government, as well as IBM and Microsoft, and GBBC.
Wow, we're definitely going to have to talk about that.
Yeah, the goal of this was to, with the very strict regulatory environment in New York, we were sort of congregating regulators and entrepreneurs to create the sandbox where they could openly dialogue about the technology and create this safe space to discuss innovation and a path forward. And more recently, I advise a lot of institutional clients, some family offices, some hedge funds on diversifying their portfolio and getting exposure to digital assets, which is once again picking up a lot of momentum given the economic crisis we're in, and alternative forms of investment such as store of value. So yeah, been very active in the space across the board and really excited to take a deeper dive today.
Yeah, you're definitely doing a lot, Jason. That's very cool. I definitely want to talk about what you're doing with the United Nations on the social impact side of things and this delegated liquid democracy, plus really hot topic right now in the world, blockchain voting, digital voting. How is this going to happen? Is it actually going to work? So we'll get into that a little bit. But I do want to ask a question to the both of you. First, Sergey, you can answer this, but in your world, what industries are coming to you the most saying, I need a blockchain project?
I don't. Do you see me, first of all?
No, Sergey, we need to see your beautiful face. Show us.
Oh,
that's the moneymaker.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know what was happened.
Yeah, I don't know either,
but,
man.
Yeah, but my personal opinion, yes, but from the 2017 when I joined this industry, what I noticed, it was attempting to stick blockchain everywhere and to everything. and it was disgusting finally, and it became like a parody. But just 3 years passed, and I can tell you my personal opinion where right now blockchain is profitable, useful, and applicable. First of all, it's financial services, as you know. But here I'm not talking about DeFi, decentralized financing. It's something different. I'm talking about the services that are regular, classic, but right now big banks are trying to put everything on blockchain.
Okay, so big banks, got it.
Yeah. For example, just last insight, as far as I know, they're working on the development of netting. It's a service based on Hyperledger Fabric by IBM and can be used to determine which party is owed remuneration in multi-party agreement. Also, it's too much talking about bonds on the blockchain, mortgages, bank guarantees. Almost all leading banks, and as far as I know, including Islamic banks, are experimenting right now with this kind of things.
Okay,
And
so we're seeing, just to reiterate, Sergey, we are seeing loans and real estate on the blockchain as the biggest thing you're seeing.
No, real estate is another story, big story. But if to be just shortly, financial services, copyright protection, fight against data falsification. It's my personal opinion. Of course, you're right. Real estate, a lot of very good examples and cases. For sure, wholesale and logistic. A lot of experts right now singing hallelujah to these cases. What else? Transportation, but also it's all around documentation put in a blockchain, like money transactions, documentation, sale, rental, leasing cars, something like this. Of course, public sector.
That makes a lot of sense, Sergey. So everything, whatever it is, whatever industry it is, a lot of it is in financial services, and everything is surrounding documentation. So that's really important to note. If you're an individual that's looking for or wanting to start a blockchain, integrate blockchain into your business, make sure that one of the focal points is around documentation monitoring. So how about you, Jason? What industry?
Documentation and verifying authenticity of documentation.
Yeah, authenticity, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Authenticity is super important. I do want to get into Hyperledger Fabric a little bit and how that's interesting and a very interesting topic. But Jason, what industries do you see companies coming to you the most in trying to get change?
Sure. Very interesting question. As I said at the outset, we have noticed a lot of momentum flowing back into the sector, both in terms of capital and in terms of projects across the board. Really just, picking back up. Where we've noticed, a specific uptick is definitely in the tokenization of hard assets. And I think this lends itself to the fact that, a lot of people, the market's evolving from the 2017, ICO craze. Right? People are looking for more concrete stores of value. And this kind of ranges across the board. Right now, we're doing projects tokenizing gold, tokenizing real estate. An NBA contract in professional basketball with Spencer Dinwiddie was just tokenized. Cool. Right? And you really see this new wave. And, this also lends itself to the store of value thesis behind it. Right? During this age of hyperinflation, Bitcoin actually just surpassed gold with the highest stock to flow ratio. Yeah, sort of the scarcest commodity around. So
Bitcoin is the best performing asset in 2020, you guys. Even though we dropped like 2% today.
It's unbelievable. It's that and gold. So you see only hard assets are the only ones that are really outperforming the market right now. Mm-hmm. So we definitely see a lot of tokenization across the board through various different protocols. And this gives a good asset and a strong.
Come back, Sergey. You left us. But no, so you're making a really good.
Token economic model behind these.
So tokenizing hard assets, very, very important. One of the reasons why I'm in the world of blockchain is because I used to work for an aircraft leasing company when we were going to tokenize our fleet. Now, what's interesting too is that the building right behind me physically is the WeWork security building that they were trying to tokenize for all of that. Deal didn't go through. The people, but definitely. The tokenization of real estate, just hard assets in general, is very important. You could have fractional reserve ownership represented in tokens. Now, a lot of people are familiar with ICOs, initial coin offerings. A lot of people view them as scams, and I know that they are no longer allowed in the United States. But both of you have said something, STOs. STOs are security token offerings, but very, very briefly, can you guys both explain the main difference between an STO and an ICO?
Can I start?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Sergey.
Okay. First of all, STO for the public seems under regulation. That is why it seems more safe to invest money. But the problem is that it's not for everybody. It's just like for the accredited investors. Not under regulation A plus, if we're talking about USA, and under regulation D, 506C, and something else, I don't know. But it's some kind of inequality. Simple people are not are unable to invest with the help of security token offering if we are talking under the US regulation. And I have this practice. But regarding USA, you can invest only with the regulation CFI, but it's not STO, it's something different. It's a crowdfunding, just to raise up to 1 million. But if you want to raise more, it will not help. That is why for me, STO is just for the rich people, not for everybody. But it's more regulated and seems to be they have more perspective to develop. And right now we have few clients that are developing these future projects. They are developing this STO platform for USA and in a global aspect as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he gave some good information and I made sure to type into the chat, but STOs are for accredited investors under Reg A. It's a type of raise, or Reg D. Yeah. Another thing that's really interesting is crowdfunding. So Obama, I think 2012, 14, he did the Jobs Act, and the Jobs Act allowed for crowdfunding.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're limited to, I don't think it's 1 million anymore. I think you're limited to 2 million. I think they raised it because people
last case, regulation CFI, I will name the platform. It's very popular in USA. 1 million plus 7,000 and 70,000. But I know that they have some changes in regulation. Some have updates, and right now they can raise more with the help of uncredited investors. But just now, right now, I have such cases.
Yeah,
I have very, very separate cases regarding accredited investors and not accredited investors.
Yeah. So with crowdfunding, with Reg CF that he's talking about, it's literally CF crowdfunding.
Yeah, exactly.
Meaning that you, as an individual who is not an accredited investor, can invest into these types of raises. There's a lot of cool platforms for that. Now, how about you, Jason? You got any brief explanations of what the difference between an STO and an ICO is?
Sure. Sergey hit a lot of the high level. As we all know, the whole goal of ICOs, which was very noble, was sort of to democratize access to investing in these networks and these protocols to the average retail investor, not just the accredited one. Unfortunately, sometimes, everyone's anti-regulation, but you see what happens a lot of the times, right? And after that whole disaster, I do think the market's evolving. I was very, honored to be part of the Blockstack token offering, which was the first SEC regulated token offering for both accredited and retail investors. It did use the Reg A plus crowdfunding exemption, which was very interesting and an amazing token economic model there. But yeah, I mean, besides that, there's different protocols. ICOs use the ERC20, right? The main platform for security tokens is like Securitize is doing great work. And yeah, the main issue with ICOs was the inability to differentiate when the token was a utility versus security. And this led to a lot of confusion, a lot of retroactive legal action in the US. And it really created a cloud over the space. So we're in this limbo. There's not mass adoption for security tokens yet. That definitely will be the future, but we're still in, I think the market's still a little shook from from 2017 and the fallout thereafter. So
Yeah.
it's definitely an ever-evolving landscape, but we're getting more clarity and we're continuing to build.
Oh, great. So, I mean, definitely continue to build. Definitely don't give those up. I think that the easiest way for people to understand it is a STO is a sophisticated ICO that is generally only allowed to involve accredited investors. Really, it's creating a token under existing securities laws. So, do you guys, so already outside of the United States, are you guys dealing with any ICOs still, or is it all STOs?
Go ahead, Sergey.
Okay. From the aspect of the CryNet marketing solution, all time we have some requests to maintain the ICO campaign. As I see, they are still alive in Asia, but not in Europe, not in USA. They are trying to raise some funds, but right now we are trying to refuse it because, unfortunately, 2017, 2018 were very disgusting years for ICO, and really no real results. And if we talk, I want to point out my personal opinion that initial exchange offering like EEO, it's more perspective, and we have a lot of examples in Asia that Asian exchanges help to raise funds with the help of this instrument, not ICO. But if we're talking about Asia, initial exchange offering is most promising. I think we have to forget about ICO right now. Maybe some kind of
I totally agree with you.
will be in the future, but right now I think it's already dead. It's my personal opinion.
Yeah, ICOs are not good. The person who wrote the legal framework for it, I'm pretty sure, is either in prison or out on bail right now. So yeah, guys, don't do any more ICOs. I mean, but you're completely correct when you say that in Asia, they're still happening. They're still happening. I mean, the regulation allows for it there, but most of the world does not, and they like to fit under this STO law. Now, a new player that came to the scene was an IEO, initial exchange offering.
Yeah.
Jason, do you want to explain what that is a little bit?
Sure.
And just here, and Ty specifically asked a question. Biggest difference between IEOs and STOs, obviously regulation, but what else?
Yeah, so, IEOs are initial exchange offerings, and the central framework around them is that they're offered on one exchange, right? So like Binance will host a lot of these IEOs. So you already have, what's good about it for the project is you have a native exchange where you're already listed. You have early users already built in, and these are like some of the largest exchanges in the world. So there's immediate liquidity, right? But the exchanges do a lot of thorough vetting to decide what makes the cutoff. So there's a lot of regulatory concerns as discussed. Without getting too deep into that, that's the high level of what an IEO is versus an STO, which can be broadcast across many exchanges, and it acts as a security, whereas an IEO just acts as a token. Now,
that's very interesting.
One thing I'd just like to comment on is that this also gets into the whole like conflict of interest between like if these are actually good ways to distribute early tokens in a new network, right? There's a lot of once again, conflict of interest where the exchange is incentivized for the token to rise. The early investors are as well. You see stuff where like a lot of the, and this could be a little controversial, but a lot of the early investors, especially in the US and back with these ICOs, were actually also early investors in some of the main exchanges like Coinbase. So they're incentivized for these tokens to be listed on these exchanges. And, obviously it's good for the stakeholders for there to be a surge in price, but is that really good for the longevity of the network when there's like a potential pump and dump, right? These are questions that haven't been answered. We're looking at these networks, 10, 20 years down the line, not just who benefits off of them in the early days. So, we're doing a lot to go back to your previous question about ICOs outside of the US. We're really staying clear because we don't believe, we're taking a principled stand against what these represent. We will do clear like token offerings if they are a utility, right? If this is like a gold-backed token that has an audited proof of how much gold is backing it, like 1-to-1, and it's clearly a utility or a stable coin, there's no question about it, then, that's a legitimate token offering. And they deserve the liquidity. But a lot of the speculative stuff we're staying clear from, and we're advising either projects to raise privately or, explore other routes.
Yeah, so you made a very good point. And what it seems like is in an IEO, the exchange becomes the government. They become the governance over who gets that. I mean, they also are the ones that are they set the regulations as to who enters. So you do see a little bit more due diligence than just ICOs. I remember the ICO craze happening and exchanges being like, well, give me 4 Bitcoin and you can be on our exchange. And that was the qualification. And now it's completely different. So definitely happy that's happening. I hope that IEOs become, accepted, but regardless, you can't stop what's on the internet, guys.
It's true.
So we do have some questions that I do want to take really quick. So exchanges are heavy holders of the IEOs. So exchanges are heavy holders of some of the IEOs listed on them. Is that true, Jason? Is that true, Sergey?
100%. So
Okay.
as you mentioned, Erica, part of the process, they are the good news is they are very selective with what they choose. So this overcomes a lot of what you described as the issues with ICOs, where you could just, offer a certain amount of Bitcoin to be listed. So you do have to meet certain strict qualifications, and they are real projects. With that said, there's a high incentive for the coin to go up because the exchange, as part of the contract, does hold a certain number of the tokens and therefore benefits from an increase in price.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the Jason.
Wow. Well, there we go, guys. Now, a company that is interested in tokenizing. Now, what is an ideal company? Jason, I feel like you would probably say a company that has an actual hard asset, right? Not some technology they want to tokenize.
Yeah, exactly. The point of tokenization is to back these digital assets with a hard asset and sort of bridge the physical and digital realm. If it's just a speculative tech play behind it, then that's what equity and securities are for. But in terms of actually
Good man.
in terms of actually tokenizing, right, and getting the fractional ownership that you mentioned earlier, Erica, you're looking for stuff like real estate, you're looking for stuff like gold. It's becoming very interesting. As I mentioned, there was just an NBA contract that was tokenized, which we were in discussions about that. So the concept of a tokenized, but you really want to, and it's not this like the sexiest project by any means, but it has like very viable use cases. So that's definitely what we're looking for when you're tokenizing.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we've talked about tokenizing gold before. Now, I used to be really involved in the STO space, so I do know projects that are tokenizing gold, and they really had big goals to tokenize oil. Do you know any of those projects, Jason?
That are tokenizing gold or tokenizing oil?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're actually working on one right now. We're building it as we speak. The Green
Gold or oil?
For gold. The Green Bank Network out of Canada has a large reserve of gold. They're tokenizing it for the GBN token, and off of the funds they raise, they're using that to raise for sustainable projects. It's an amazing project. We're doing that as we speak, and haven't dealt with oil. But one thing I want to bring up in terms of tokenization is this is crucial. You need to be very transparent and have like a full audit so that your holders of these coins know that there's actually hard assets backing these tokens. You see stuff like these stable coins like Tether, where they refuse to allow anyone to audit their holdings. You don't actually know if this is pegged 1-to-1 with USD behind it. And that's, we haven't seen it yet, but like that sort of mistrust over time will cause, clients or the market to seek other alternative investment or stores of value. So that's very important. You need to make sure that you're very transparent.
Yeah, do it for the game theory, you guys. If you are doing crooked things, you are ruining it for your future chances of making money in this industry. So just stop. Back up your stuff by actual assets. If you don't have them, there are a million other ways to make money. Don't screw with blockchain technology companies. Sergey, you had something to say?
Yes. From my experience, I have a very good example of tokenization. One of last clients in last year, Singapore Power Group, they named, has launched a blockchain marketplace for, as far as I know, trading renewable energy certificates. They started from this. According to representatives of the company, the platform is designed to make transactions with such certificates safe, reliable, and traceable. They started from this, and right now the next step is they started to tokenize this sun power energy through the help of the certification. It's a very good example, and I absolutely agree with all mentioned above example by Jason DeSimone. I agree absolutely.
Tokenizing?
But what the most important here,
Mm-hmm. No, tokenizing energy,
business,
that's really cool.
Businessmen, entrepreneurs needs to understand where it's possible to tokenize and where it's impossible. It's some kind of must be logical, then must include logic to analyze, not just to be funny, because where they're coming to me with the projects, where the concept of the project, and they're starting talking about tokenization, security, and something like this. I always say why, when, where, what will be the final result? Do you really need it? Will be effective? And finally, will this tokenization monetize your business at least?
Yeah,
they need to ask all these questions.
Sergey, I'm really glad that you bring that up, because it is absolutely important for people like us in this space, people that are consulting, to resist the urge to ride the wave of the blockchain buzzword and just take people's money because they think they need a blockchain. It's going to solve all of the problems in their industry. It's definitely important to be asking yourself, do I actually need a better database that has different people pulling into it? Now, I do want to get into the technology side of things a little bit, and then we're going to move to question and answer, because I know the crowd definitely has some questions that are pumping in there. What is the actual blockchain that you use the most? Sergey, I know you said Hyperledger Fabric. Any other blockchains you tend to run your projects on?
Number one, it's not Hyperledger Fabric, Ethereum. Because of smart contract possibilities, Ethereum makes smart contracts, and it's for real estate, insurance, and decentralized financing. The next, what I see in my work with the clients, it's a Hyperledger Fabric, and the third one, it's not Bitcoin. It's a Corda blockchain.
Corda.
Regarding again financial services.
No,
it's the three main blockchain. Ethereum number one, Hyperledger Fabric by IBM, and Corda.
Yeah. So guys, Ethereum, if you're a young person and you're trying to become a developer, Solidity, pretty easy to learn. I've heard, we even teach on Wednesdays people how to code smart contracts. If you look through our repository on YouTube, teaching all of that. Eric Manganaro, Adam Manka, shout out to you. But learn how to code, because this is a new illiteracy for young people. Now, I just have a quick question for Hyperledger Fabric. How much does it cost to run a node on Hyperledger Fabric for a company?
More expensive than they will use Ethereum or something else.
Yeah,
Ethereum, it's expensive instrument.
Okay. Do you any
more?
Yeah, for sure. Because Ethereum is an open public blockchain, and Hyperledger is definitely controlled with a certain set of people. So
yes, regarding the price, Ethereum is more competitive, but yes, I agree that everybody who have the brains, can study, can learn this programming, and can make something. But they are making so many bugs, and so I also have so many not good examples when the project team and the founders of the project trying to save money, they're finding people not very qualified. If you're talking about Ethereum, you also need very good IT programmers as well.
Yeah, very good. No, definitely young people learn how to code. It's important. Now, Jason, what technologies are you using the most for the blockchains you're building?
Sure. I think that's a great question. Important point to note before we continue is that blockchain technology is still in its infancy, right? It's still early when you're talking about the actual build of it and the behind the scenes, under the hood, day in and day out coding. Hyperledger is good for certain use cases. We generally use Ethereum because of the ERC20 capabilities. Solidity is Turing complete, but it's very important to understand the limitations with Ethereum, right? It's still very, very difficult to scale it. And this completely depends on the application that you're trying to build, right? So without getting too technically detailed, one thing that I want a lot of developers out there, or just enthusiasts in the field, to take a look at, I mentioned it earlier, is Blockstack. Blockstack just released their smart contract language called Clarity. This is a decentralized application sort of protocol that already has 300 dApps in it, right? More than Ethereum. They're pretty pronounced, and the way they solve the scalability issue is they only use blockchain for baseline security on the Bitcoin protocol. All the functionality of apps, they sort of leave to higher levels, right? Higher layers on the stack, so that they're able to scale, right? So the data and logic are moved to higher layers off the blockchain. They use the core blockchain for decentralization and security, and then so you're able to combine the best of both worlds. Right now, I think there's 1,000 daily active users throughout all of Ethereum, right? Like across the board. If you're not talking about ERC20 tokens, you can't actually build like a fully functioning app on it yet. Blockstack isn't fully there yet, but it's closer. So once again, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're just going to do a token offering or tokenize something, definitely Ethereum, ERC20. Cool stuff happening with DeFi, there's no doubt. And they might solve some of the scalability issues with the new, protocols they're developing there. But Blockstack, everyone should keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, that's important. That's really cool to know. I didn't know they came up with a new language. If you guys do want some more scalable ways, though, to stamp things onto Ethereum, we should talk after this, because I have some cool technology to sell you. But anyways, in terms of just the different technologies, do you ever use Hyperledger Fabric or any Hyperledger consortium products?
Yeah, if you're asking me, yes, we have built on Hyperledger. We are actively building on it. It is beneficial in certain narrow use cases. Once again,
is that like your use of Hyperledger? Is that more in the UN projects that you're talking about, or like?
No, it would be more like enterprise projects, and it's like a private blockchain. So
yeah, exactly.
It's good for an established enterprise, a Fortune 500 that wants to pivot and establish sort of a blockchain extension to their core business.
Now, would you say that somebody that uses somebody that uses a private blockchain, are they missing out on the aspect of immutability as a benefit of blockchain?
Yeah, I would say 100%.
Cool.
Just to add a couple sentences on that. This comes down to, once again, I can't emphasize this enough. You have to know why you're using blockchain beyond just the buzzword, right? So there are trade-offs with every protocol you use, but Hyperledger goes against the core principles of blockchain, which is immutable data, decentralization, right? And you have centralized gatekeepers, right, and central points of failure overlooking it. It's not permissionless.
Yeah, exactly. So and all that stuff is okay. Obviously Hyperledger Fabric is a successful technology and all of the consortium projects are being used and implemented. But as long as we know that it gets rid of immutability and it gets rid of security and some of the benefits, then as long as we're on the same page about that, we're fine. So let's see. I have a question from Jonathan. He asks, will ICOs be going on to decentralized exchanges more and more, thus removing high fees and restrictions to markets? What are the challenges to this? Anyone want to take a stab at it first, Sergey? Here, let me answer. Jonathan, I do not think that ICOs will be going on to decentralized exchanges more and more. I think that the ICO phase is over.
My opinion about ICO, I guess it's already dead. Where it will go to centralized platform or decentralized doesn't really matter. But right now, is not a very good choice to raise funds for your project or something else. Please, guys, please forget about ICO. I
Please
ask you, look
ICOs. I'm
forward
right.
for IEO and unfortunately SEO.
Yeah. So STOs, security token offerings, IEOs, initial exchange offerings, those are what we want to be looking at because those have regulatory frameworks behind them. Unless you're in China, let's just forget about ICOs. I like that, Sergey. So I want to ask you a question.
If talking about initial exchange offering, also you have very, very intensive. Not all these exchanges are under very clear regulation. Also, all time you should be very attentive because can be surprises. Check everything. Check the country. Check the jurisdiction, because especially Asian exchange platforms, be very attentive. They are working very good right now, but also work together with your lawyer now.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
can I
If you
say?
want to get in on something like this, it's important to speak to someone like Jason, someone like Sergey, someone at the Blockchain Center to make sure that you're not
Exactly.
into something that you maybe might not even need. There's delegated databases that are really great. So now, Jason, you talked a little bit about the rabbit hole and how you are working on delegated liquid democracy. What is that?
Oh, it's interesting. Oh, wow.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, to hit on the rabbit hole, like blockchain, Bitcoin, these are fields that the deeper you dive, the more questions that arise. And for people with like naturally insatiable curiosity, which I'm sure a lot of people tuning in and who are in the space have, you can't get enough of this space because it's really the intersection of like every discipline, right? Beyond just the tech, like you're intersecting like psychology, game theory, like history, politics, law, right? It's mind-boggling, and where the non-deterministic parts of it are still like we haven't figured out the optimal governance mechanisms for these new networks. Like it's just so fascinating. So it's really hard to dive into the rabbit hole and get out and not be interested in continuing, especially in the early days. As I mentioned, at the beginning, we started sort of more in the political sector, just kind of like applying the concepts of blockchain and private keys to voting.
Exactly.
And this is developed over time after I kind of left the sector, the political sector, to like what is now considered like liquid or delegated democracy, stuff like Democracy Earth. Very interesting protocols doing this. The concept is that you can, first off, like it's highly secure because you can store your vote to your private key. So it's just like a transaction on the Bitcoin core protocol, which with all the questions arising about elections around the world is crucial. The concept of delegated or liquid democracy is that it's more liquid or in nature. So you can essentially, like in theory, delegate your vote to an expert in a particular field because this concept of like parties, right? Either a Democrat or a Republican, but there's so many like issues, right? And within each party that the average voter isn't an expert in. So imagine you can delegate votes to people who know it better. It's just like, it's a very interesting space, and blockchain can serve a very useful function there. Once again,
I would love if people gave me their ability to vote.
Yes, it can also be abused like anything else. But once again, what are the prohibitive like obstacles that it faces? Scalability, right? We're nowhere near the ability to like actually use this for an election, just because we can't scale to an entire country. But it's we're laying the fabric for what could be the new voting systems of the future. We know it's going to become e-voting at some point, right? That's guaranteed. So it's like once this does move electronically, what do we want to underpin this, right?
Yeah, and I know is Bion a company that does that?
Bion, no. Bion was like a. Are you saying like in reference to stuff I've done?
Yeah, well, I know. Okay, I just know that Nick Spanos, who's watching this right now. Hello, Nick. If you want to pop in, please feel free. he has the patent on blockchain voting, and Anna was telling me something about how you met Nick in Bion and NYC.
Bion was it was literally just like a conference for blockchain, but the goal was to extend, beyond New York and go global with it. So I think we hosted one of the first Bions in New York City. Nick spoke at that. I spoke at it as well, and touched a little bit, very little, on this this consensus voting and whatnot. But that's definitely not stepping on Nick's toes. That's not the space I play in anymore. That was very early on, so I've kind of migrated elsewhere. But it's a fascinating space.
Definitely. So, Sergey, how about you? Do you have any things that you're building for this delegated liquid democracy?
I have. Oh my God! Again, my video. I have example. In Europe, they already started this kind of project. In 2018, the Europe Structural Fund Horizon 2020 make a grant support for one project to develop the voting on the blockchain. But if to be sincere, if to be sure, blockchain cannot yet ensure the authenticity of the vote. And this decision was tested in Europe in 2018. It was the election with the help of the blockchain in Greece, and in some kind of referendum in Macedonia. I don't know what is going on with the project right now, and will, under the directives, European Commission integrate this around the all member countries, but experience anonymity, but everybody was sincere that vote was authentic, at least, and no any manipulation and falsification. From this prospect, like Jason talking about liquid democracy, the voting in blockchain have very, very promising future.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that.
If I could jump in, sorry, for one last second. This extends way beyond like political voting to just consensus voting in general. So you can imagine a permissionless network that's decentralized that just wants to vote on an issue, right? You could implement this consensus voting stored on the blockchain for any sort of issue, like any social impact issue. So like even like political voting is still just a narrow use case for it. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a really good point. This is how the quickest way you can come to consensus and what everybody thinks in whatever size of demographic you're looking to figure out their opinions for. And what's great about the blockchain is that you have one vote, right? And it's tied and everyone can see it. So if there is any manipulation, people are able to read it.
Exactly.
It would have to be a public blockchain though, would you guys say, in order to do voting? Like a pseudonymous public blockchain?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, right? I mean, it only makes sense.
If it's private, it could be manipulated. Or, you run into the same issues.
Yeah. So are you guys building anything on the whole blockchain voting technology thing?
We have implemented existing consensus voting protocols.
Is it on Ethereum?
Into projects, yeah. Stuff that was initially built on Ethereum. It's still very early. We're playing around with it, but we've definitely introduced consensus voting into a few projects in an interoperable manner, right? So we interop it with other blockchain protocols, but that was one component of it. It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, yeah, definitely. One more question, because we're coming up on the 10-minute mark, and I want to make sure that these guys who are asking questions get them in. This is going to be a little political, but Jason, I know you like the politics, so you're shy away from this. And anybody who watches this Blockchain Center channel knows we love talking about politics. What would you say to people that are saying that we need to, because of coronavirus, in November, have a digital voting system?
So I would say that there are concerns with stay-at-home voting. The proposals I've seen, digital alternative would be viable, but now you're talking about, what is that, 5 months, right? 4 or 5 months, right? there's going to be serious bugs and vulnerabilities, and we're nowhere near ready to implement this digitally, at least in a secure manner. If you tried to do it digitally right now, it would just have more vulnerabilities and potential manipulations than even the current system. So it would be a disaster for this election, but looking forward, it's definitely the play, I feel.
Very cool. Sergey?
Regarding your political question, can I add something?
Yeah.
Happy Independence Day.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
2 days.
Please don't forget. Just in a day. Happy Independence Day.
Yeah.
I wish you and your country all the very best. I hope that you say pass peacefully this transformation, and finally you will get something new in result that will impact and will change the rest of the world. You know, you understand me. But no political comments at all. I just like in comment.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. Thank you for the Independence Day wishes. I hope that people come.
Exactly. Yeah. I wish sincerely all the very best. Yeah.
So
because
now
you know why? Money makes the world go round. And where all the money is world? Where? In US. You know, US should be strong. We need your money. We need your investment initiatives. You know, everything. Be strong.
US can contribute their money too. I'm okay with that. So, definitely, Jason and Sergey, I do want to talk to you about other topics, but we seem like we're having a fun conversation. It's kind of been up on the time. I'm interested in hearing about the New York Blockchain Center, about the United Nations, about the social impact side of things. But I do want to get to some questions in the audience. Now, Ernesto Espana asks, governments would adopt blockchain technology to manage the monetary system. Do you think the CBDC, central bank digital dollar, do you think that this will happen?
What I think, probably yes. They are going to get rid of this fiat system, but in USA, you should check all information regarding Amero, what it will be. Okay. Maybe it will be like instead of dollar fiat, it will be something kind of new currency, national currency, digital currency, Amero. Just maybe 5-10 years ago, it was a lot of talking about Amero, and now it's silence. It means they are making something big changes. Take care about it. You need to check all the information. I think it's the future.
Okay.
To answer the question, Ernesto, yes, this is definitely happening. This is a whole segment in and of itself. It's about the changes, what this will allow governments to do, and the differences between that and something like Bitcoin. Really interesting stuff, but way longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely a very interesting topic. Sorry, can I add something?
Go ahead.
Don't look to governments. Look forward for the maybe 10, 50, 100 years to the future. In 10, 15 years, we like mankind are going to conquest the space, to conquest the moon, to conquest the Mars. You think all this space team will take fiat money with them or bulk of golds? No, I don't think so. That is why cryptocurrency and digital money have very, very big and promising, profound future. Please check carefully this Elon Musk project, Space Link.
Yeah.
We can transfer all kinds of information as soon as possible in the future. We can transfer? We can transfer the cryptocurrency code, something like this, and it will be available in the future to build something new in other planets, in other galaxies.
Very interesting. We're moving to other planets and other galaxies, guys.
I'm not crazy.
No, you're not crazy. Absolutely not crazy.
Yeah. We have to. We have to.
I feel you. I understand you. I know you. Definitely, you are a technologist at heart, and that's the thing is that money has evolved since the beginning of time. What's interesting about Bitcoin and blockchain technology is, in many times, it's not just the payment channels that have changed. It's also the form of money that's being used to transact across those channels. I think that we are going to see a world where it is much more efficient and much more transparent in some cases to use a blockchain. And so technology must advance. And just like the internet became commonplace, it will be a lot of systems running on blockchain databases. And it's just going to be commonplace. But right now, anybody who's in this chat right now, you three guys ahead of the game, anyone who's even watching the stream, you guys are ahead of the game. So please stay on the path, learning about this new technology, how it will disrupt things. Keep asking questions all along the way. Now, Jason, any closing thoughts? Sergey, any closing thoughts?
Sergey, you could go first.
I think he's frozen.
Oh, okay.
Sergey, hello. Go ahead. Any closing thoughts, Sergey, from you? You want to anything we didn't cover that you want to share to the audience? Hello.
All right, I think
Now it's okay. I hear. What? Exactly. Eric said very good words. Guys, don't afraid of something new. Don't afraid of innovations. Try to dig in all this new stuff. Read a lot of things. Exchange information. If you cannot understand something, don't worry. Just step by step, dig in this future. It's not the problem. You need what makes the mankind so prospective and so revolutionary, because we are striving for the knowledge, and blockchain is one of instruments just to hit our energy for the looking future. Something like this.
Absolutely.
Don't afraid of new things. Don't afraid of new technologies.
Mm-hmm. Very
Sometimes
true.
they will help us.
Yep. Plug up your brain to
And soon we
Neuralink,
will
guys.
see.
Right? We should all use Neuralink, Sergey, with Elon Musk. Fix some parts. Yeah. Neuralink, right? Okay. Anyways. All right. Jason, closing thoughts for the crowd?
Yeah, no, just to echo what Sergey said, and what I mentioned before, the ultimate rabbit hole, right? So multidisciplinary. Don't be intimidated. Just find a way that
Exactly.
There's so many projects out there that are amazing. The whole point of this is collaboration that's permissionless, right? Just get involved, keep studying. And I don't think people realize how early we still are, right? We're still so early. This is going to be, this is the beginning of an entire new structure from the ground up. This will be around, for decades, potentially centuries. So you haven't missed the boat yet. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this or even know about blockchain, you're still extremely early in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely good advice, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being on this show. Hopefully I will have the both of you on separately, because I think you both provide a lot of knowledge that I'd love to just pour into and see what you'll send back up into the Neuralink world. So thank you so much, guys. And where can they find you really quick? Just your @ symbols on Twitter, if Twitter's a thing for you. Jason?
Yeah, I don't really do the social media thing too much.
Smart man.
We can hit on another podcast. But I would say if you want to reach out on Telegram. Just add my name, @Jason Desmond, one word, and
Perfect.
Yeah, we could take it from there.
And how to reach you, Sergey?
The same by Telegram. I'm everywhere, in Facebook, in Telegram, in LinkedIn, in Reddit, everywhere.
WeChat.
Just
How about WeChat?
exactly, tap my name and you will. I think the best way is to find out my information about me, all my posts, articles in LinkedIn.
Perfect. LinkedIn for Sergey.
Also,
All right.
just a week ago, I started to post some of my articles with the help of HackerNoon.
Oh, HackerNoon. Very cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for everything you contribute to the industry and for being on this. And we will show you, if we get requests for you back, we will definitely have you on another show. Thank you guys for watching. And we do have a stream right after this, which is going to be talking about mining and trading and why we lost 2% and what's happening post-halvening. So see you there. Be on in probably 1 minute. Bye.